Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Before we get started, remember uh, this is NFL 101 with your friend Zach. And Nathan might do one of these eventually, I don't know. But for right now, it's just me. So, as I said before, welcome to NFL 101 Transition. Bet y'all aren't ready for this again. And Transition. Anyway, so welcome to episode 3 of NFL 101, your Kingsmith guide to the NFL as we see it. Today, my friends, or tonight, or whenever you might be watching this, we are going to be talking about NFL free agency, what is a free agent, some of the other aspects of a free agent, and the time period known as free agency in the NFL. So, without further ado, let us get going. So, first of all, what I want y'all to know, or what y'all need to know, is basically what a free agent is. So, and this is just NFL specific. There are free agents in all types of sports. There are free agents in all types of like movies and other stuff. A free agent in NFL terms means there is a player in the NFL who is not currently signed with a team or is not under contract with a team. Let me scratch my eyes. I don't know why I don't do this before broadcasting, but I do. Anyway, so as I said, so with that being said, there are some uh, limitations. If you remember back to last episode, I touched on compensatory picks. This is one of the ways you can get a compensatory pick. Is you lose certain free agents to another team, and the NFL deems it necessary that you need a pick in exchange for that. Excuse me while I bring up my notes again, because I need to remind myself where I want to go in these episodes. Um, so, uh, that's how you get. That's one way to get compensatory picks from the NFL. Um, anyway, let's see what else. Um, there are two types. Well, there are multiple types of free agents, I guess. But the two main types of NFL free agents I want to touch on are restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents. So, restricted free agents. Well, I said that free agents are no longer under contract from, or are not under contract from any NFL team. That doesn't mean they are free from obligations to that team. Um, a restricted free agent is typically a free agent that, um, while they are no longer under contract to their previous NFL team, you will still have to compensate said NFL team to acquire the rights to that player. One of the ways this happens is if something called the franchise tag is put in place on that free agent. Although they do not have to sign that, um, this is one way NFL teams, while they might not want to sign a particular player to a long-term deal, even if that player does not sign with them on the franchise tag, they can still get something out of it for future use on their team. Um, and an unrestricted free agent is basically a traditional free agent. They have no strings attached. You can sign them whenever you want. There is no limit. There is no time limit. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There is no time limit on an NFL on an NFL team signing a free agent besides what I said. If you remember last episode, I mentioned, or in the past couple episodes, I think in both episodes I mentioned a 53-man roster. So if you do not have space on your team or on your 53-man roster for a particular free agent, then you cannot sign that free agent without first going through the processes of releasing, trading, or otherwise freeing up a space on your 53-man roster. That does not, however, prevent you from signing that person to a practice squad, to your practice squad. And then if you want to call them up later, you can. That's essentially a promotion. Now, let's talk about free agency in terms of the NFL. Free agency, if you remember back to the general NFL timeline, I talked about in the first episode, we had the off-season, preseason, regular season, and postseason, or playoffs, or whatever you want to call them. All of it's kind of centered around the Super Bowl. Pardon me, allergies are flaring up. Anyway, all of this is kind of centered around the Super Bowl and the draft. So the regular season and postseason are kind of focused on the draft and what goes on there. The off season is primarily focused on the draft and training camp and preseason, getting your players ready for that, getting your roster ready for that, doing exercises and stuff. But free agency is in fact the intervening time between the Super Bowl, when the Super Bowl ends, and basically when draft season starts to kick into high gear. So, so it's basically between the Super Bowl and the NFL Combine and Pro Days that really it's free agency time, where you can sign free agents, where you can, retain certain players who would be free agents under your who would leave you in that course of time. Now, that being said, I did say free agency, or the ability to sign free agents is not limited by time. Even though we have a specific time period within the NFL year that is dedicated to free agency, it's not limited to that specific time within the timeline. And as I go on, the NFL timeline will become clearer and clearer with these little blips and things that I keep adding, or Nathan adds. Now, I've already discussed it a little bit, but I'm gonna discuss it a little bit more. How do you acquire a free agent? Now, there are several different ways to do this, or several different options to an NFL team that wants to do this. Number one is, of course, if you are an NFL team who has several players leaving as free agents, you have the opportunity, and you probably have the first opportunity to sign a free agent that is leaving your team, that will be leaving your team in free agency. An example for the Chiefs this year was defensive tackle Chris Jones. Now, obviously, we had him under contract for one more year last season. We reworked the contract he had. He played for the year, and then came back and wanted more money. And we signed him to a bigger deal. We also signed Travis Kelce to a bigger deal, who would have been a free agent on and down the line. Now, if let's say I was from another team and I wanted to get Chris Jones, as long as I matched or exceeded. Okay, there's a couple different ways a team could acquire a free agent from another team. Let's say, okay, I'm going to use Nathan's team. Let's say I was the Packers and I wanted Chris Jones. If I didn't want to trade for him with the Chiefs, I would wait until he was a free agent, actually a free agent, and then I would start talking with him, and I would see what he wants, and then offer him a contract according to what he wants to be paid. Now, not all players get that. Some players just have to take whatever deal they can get, and that might not even lead them to be playing in the NFL. Sometimes players who played in the NFL or were on practice squads go to leagues like the UFL, the Canadian Football League, or other international football leagues around the world, and then they play good in that league, and then an NFL team picks them back up. Now, that's another way to sign a an unrestricted free agent, is to offer them a contract that they want, or offer them a contract period. Let's see here. What's another way? And I already talked about restricted free agents a little bit. Let me talk a little bit more about them. A restricted free agent, like I said, you're required to give at least one pick to the team that holds the rights to the particular free agent or restricted free agent that you want. Now, again, like I said, just because they're restricted doesn't mean they're under contract. It just means that essentially before their contract ended, the team that had their previous contract placed a restriction on them so that they got compensated with usually a draft pick. I think it's a third round pick, or it's a late round pick that they get because you wanted to sign their free agent team. Now, now that I've talked about what free agency is, there are several different. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I had another monologue with myself, deciding what else, what to talk about next episode, and I think I've decided. And I forgot to mention something. Another limitation to signing an NFL free agent is the NFL cap. Now, next episode, I will explain a little bit more in detail what the cap is, but it suffices to say the cap is the limit on how much a team can spend on their players, and I think some of their staff. I don't think all their staff goes against their cap. Most of it is the players. Now, if I want to sign a free agent, I would need not only the appropriate slot in my roster for him. If I wanted to sign him to my active NFL roster, excuse me, my allergies are flaring up and my dinner is coming back on me. Y'all bear with me. But yeah, so NFL. So the two, as I was saying, the two limitations to signing a free agent is, do I have enough room for him on my active NFL roster, assuming that I wanted to sign him there. And under that limitation, do I have enough room on my practice squad to sign him? And then the second bigger limitation of that is, do I have the appropriate cap space to sign this free agent uh, to a contract. So, besides, oh, I just remembered something else. And there's a siren blaring. I don't know if you all can hear the siren, but there's a siren going off, passing by the house. Anyway, so I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. So the so I mentioned that becoming a free agent relies a lot on the contract. I Let me explain a little bit more in detail about that. I'm sorry, I have notes, but I am still extremely disorganized. Anyway, so the main ways a person becomes a free agent, there's two. There's really two. The first and obvious one is simply a contract expiration. So, and I think I mentioned that one earlier. Just contract expiration. So, say you have this NFL player, this quarterback. I'm not going to think of a name. Anyway, think about so this NFL quarterback is signed to the year 2026, which is in 2 years. That's weird, but an NFL quarterback is signed to the year 2026. In the year 2026, that quarterback would then become a free agent unless their current NFL team would be able to re-sign them, like the Chiefs did with Chris Jones, and like the Packers did with some of their players. The second major way a player becomes a free agent, and this is a lot of where the restricted free agents come in, is it's not just the previous team of that player that held their contract. Sorry, guys. I should probably take an allergy medicine before recording. This is my fault. I'm sorry. Anyway, so what was I saying? So, oh right. So an NFL team. The this is the restricted free agents. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting distracted easily. My allergies are flaring up. Dinner's coming back on me. I'm all over the place tonight. Anyway. So this is where restricted free agents come into play a little bit more. Is if a team decides to release a player mostly for not being able to perform to the level they were expected to, or the player demanding being released or traded. So, and like I said, this is where restricted free agents come in, because that player is still technically speaking loosely under contract. It's more the team that's under the contract because they're still paying that player because they gave him and in an NFL contract. This is something I'll have to explain too. Wow, in an NFL contract, a player is guaranteed money, and I'll explain guaranteed money, unguaranteed money, incentives, and all that stuff. But suffice it to say, for right now, in every NFL contract, there is an amount of guaranteed money that the team will have to pay a player before they can just decide to cut him without any repercussions on their part. This last year, the Denver Broncos released Russell Wilson, and they took a massive hit. And I'll explain that a little bit more when I explain the cap. Probably next episode. I don't know if that's going to be the next episode. Now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway. But, so, that's that's one way an NFL free agent is restricted, is that they are still, technically speaking, in a loose sort of way, under contract to another team. So the team that would want to pick them up might have to give the team that currently holds the contract a draft pick to acquire them. However, on the other hand, if a team like the Broncos just releases Russell Wilson, and they still have to pay Russell Wilson a bunch of money, you can sign a free agent for cheap. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Russell Wilson for just over $1 million because the Broncos are still paying the majority of his salary not to play in Denver, which is hilarious. Anyway, I think that is where I'm going to end it, guys. Come on, Mouse, come alive. Before I do end it, remember, down below is the Patreon link. If you want to support us monetarily, feel free to do that. And before I say goodbye, transition. That didn't work like I wanted it to, but that's my fault. All right.